Hi everybody, welcome to episode 6 of the Let's Face It podcast. This is my journey with Caoimhín Agyarko. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Workforce Training Services, a fantastic charitable organisation for kids who just finish off doing their GCSEs, not quite sure whether they want to do A-levels, they want to go get an apprenticeship or whatever. Go to Workforce, they do hairdressing, joinery, mechanics, everything. So go check them out, and it's a very, very, very worthwhile organisation and a worthwhile thing to look into. I can speak first hand for them. I actually used to be a classroom assistant in the SAL and used to take the kids around the Workforce, and now they're just brilliant, and you learn not even just skills in a trade but life skills and how to progress through life and build a career. So thanks very much, Workforce, and I appreciate your support. Welcome, Caoimhín.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem. What's the crack? How's life?
Not bad. Obviously, not long ago signed a new deal with Eddie Hearn and stuff, so I'm flying at the moment and he's keeping me busy, and just back from a little holiday after my last fight, so yeah, can't complain, things are going well.
Happy days. You were actually I know you like through like mutual friends and stuff, and always growing up like everyone knew Caoimhín was, like, you know, boxing and stuff like that there, and it was like I always used to see you in like Thompson's or something and be like, well, what's happening? And you probably knew me because I played Gaelic or something, but always kind of knew that like you were different than everyone else, because, and I think you do have to be different to get to be the best, isn't that right? Like, and but you were actually born in London, if I'm right, and then you moved to Belfast when you were 6 or 7, isn't that right?
Yep.
What was that like coming over to Belfast, or tell me a wee bit more about that?
Yeah, so born in London, Croydon, when I was on, my mum and dad lived there, and my mum's from Belfast, so moved back to Belfast from when I was 7, and obviously it was different moving into the heart of West Belfast. Moved to St James's, the times where you don't really get any, I mean, we're in the West Heart Belfast, mixture of family, English accents, you know what I mean, so it was different, but everyone knew my family, and I mean, a lot of people say, did you get a lot of racism growing up and whatnot, and I didn't, do you know what I mean? I think it was more so sectarian, thinking I was like a Protestant or whatnot, and stuff like that, but I had a good childhood, and obviously when I moved here, I started boxing, so my uncle used to box for Holy Trinity, and my mum brought me there to show us where he used to box, and I just put the gloves on and haven't looked back.
Class. And like I think you do have to kind of start early, don't you, to get a grasp of it and stuff, and I started when I was probably 3 or 4 or whatever it was, and just automatically fell in love with it. And did you feel like that, did you get that instant like relationship with boxing, like you loved it and just you thought like, right, I want to do this for the rest of my life? Or
yeah, no, I think from a young age it was more so like I fell in love with boxing, but it was a way, I was a very angry kid, so it was a way for me to get my anger out, and just whenever I was in the gym, it was like all my problems went away. Yeah. And I wasn't good. So me and my brother actually joined at the same time, and he was the technical one and I was just the brawler, someone who just loved to fight, have a scrap, and I think I was always dedicated and committed to it, and I didn't really want to fight, but then Mickey was like, let's enter in a competition and see how I get on, blah blah blah, and I just loved it. And I think once I hit about 13, 14, I realised that I could do this for the rest of my career if I really dedicated myself. I went to the Worlds and Europeans and realised actually I'm decent at this. So yeah, I think from a young age I loved it and realised that it's what I wanted to do, and that I needed to be committed to achieve something in it.
Yeah. And do you, like, say even growing up in West Belfast, obviously we're both from here, like, well, maybe we'll go into like teenage years and stuff like that there, and was there ever like, and I suppose it is very hard, like a mixed race, I honestly don't know, but I do know what you're saying about, like, and I can recognise about going into the gym and sort of like relieving all your stress or things that are going on in your life, and you sort of have that outlet. Boxing give you it, but was there ever any stage that, like, growing up, that when your mates were away trying different things, going out, drink, drugs, whatever, that you might have thought that like this could give me a better outlet, or did you ever toy with the idea, or did you ever even try it or anything like that?
No, I always got jealous of my friends, and I still do to this day.
Yeah.
Like, I take myself away for 8 to 10 weeks, 12 weeks sometimes, being away from my friends and family and seeing them doing stuff, and you kind of think you're missing something, but at that kind of age I was a teenager, and I didn't drink and I didn't feel like I was missing out. Yes, I was jealous at times, but I knew that if I stayed dedicated, then I would achieve something. And I never like to be. I always like to be original. Do you know what I mean? I never.
I can see that.
I never wanted to kind of fit in.
Yeah.
I did things that made me happy, not because everyone else was doing it. Do you know what I mean? So, it was always tough. Do you know what I mean? You get your friends doing things and you're missing out. But there's never been a time where I took any time away from boxing. It's just always something I did. I put it before school. I put it before certain jobs, and thankfully it's got me to where I am today. It's paid off. But I think there's nothing else that I really tried, or like I'm very athletic. I always played like football, tried hurling and Gaelic. I wasn't great at it.
You look at a game. We've club championship coming up. We'll get you in.
I'll get joined. No, I was very athletic growing up, and to a certain stage, I realised that boxing's what I wanted to do. So I just stuck to it. It wasn't. There was never really a stage where I didn't think it was for me, or I wanted to try anything else.
Yeah, so but then so it was just always that sort of tunnel vision. We talked about Mickey Hawkins there, right? And sort of I don't know a lot about boxing, but I have a fair idea of the people, and I was talking to Paddy McDonald a couple of weeks ago about Oliver Plunkett, St Oliver Plunkett Football Club, and the impact that like people like Jackie Maxwell had in his life. And then I look at different boxers, and everyone seems to like revert back to like this man Mickey Hawkins. I know who it is, like because like of the Busy Bee and Granny Buys Flowers and stuff in this week. How much of an impact did Mickey Hawkins have in your, not only your boxing career, I think everyone knows, but your life and developing you into a sort of a young mature man, I suppose?
Oh, massive impact. I genuinely believe I wouldn't be here today in my career or in life and as a man without Mickey Hawkins. My dad lived in England and was never really back and forward and stuff. I had a relationship with him, but was never back and forward. But Mickey was kind of like a father figure to me, someone I looked up to from a young age, and he just taught me things about boxing and life in general that no one else taught me, and that I revert back to even now. Do you know what I mean? There's things that me and him had multiple arguments about that I couldn't see back then that are playing a part in my life now. And I think back, Mickey told me that like this would happen, or I would feel this way in 10 years time. So Mickey played a massive part in my career. He gave me so many opportunities. He let me come work for him when I was a young kid and stuff like that. So I've a lot to thank him for.
Class, that's one. And I love hearing people like not forgetting their roots and not forgetting where they came from and stuff, and I think it's a testament to you to even speak about them like that. I think it's unbelievable, and I think we all have our family, but there is certain individuals, I suppose, in every person's life, especially sports people, who do mould them into what they are today, I suppose, and I think that's class.
I agree, and like someone like Mickey, he's done so much for the community, the boxing community, and just the people of Turf Lodge in itself, and I always think like the man deserves a reward. And that's like for him, the only thing he wanted out of it was winning. Obviously seeing his fighters win. He never wanted money, he didn't want anything, he didn't expect anything from anyone else other than giving him their best in the gym. But yeah, the things that he's done just for like certain fighters coming through the gym that I've seen, not only living that myself, but other fighters and just for people in general in the Turf Lodge community is unreal. Like, I mean, it never, in Holy Trinity, it never mattered where you were from, black, Asian, white, whatever it is, Catholic, Protestant. He welcomed you through the door and treated everyone the same. So, Mickey's been someone who's inspired me and I look up to in life.
Class, and that love that he gives everyone is very much unconditional. Like, he's just never expecting anything in return. So it's a testament to him. Fair play. What was school like? What school did you go to?
CBS.
You were CBS. Yeah. I was LaSalle. What were you like in school, or what was that like?
Do you know what? At times I was a troublemaker. I wouldn't cause any major issues, but I was a kid that never liked being told what to do, and obviously that doesn't work in school. So I was alright. You know, when I put my head down, I was smart and I worked hard, but it was never, like I say, I always put boxing ahead of it. So it was like, I remember missing GCSE test because I had an All-Ireland final to go to. Do you know what I mean? So for me, boxing was always my main priority. But I wish I would have tried harder in school. I wish like, 'cause even now I think about going back and like, getting certain qualifications and whatnot. But yeah, I had a good time in school. Got in a lot of trouble with teachers and made some great friends and stuff like that.
Class. And would you still like keep in contact with boys from CBS and stuff even now?
Like there's certain teachers even that follow me on Twitter.
I always see big Pete McKeever.
Pete McKeever, yeah. And do you know, I'm not just saying this, Pete was probably one of my favourite teachers. Niall Banks. Pete took me from Malves and we had great times, but he's one that I probably I caused him a bit of issues back in the day.
But I always see his thing donging back on Twitter and stuff, and I'm like, isn't that class? Like, obviously you're saying there about being a trouble kid in school. I was a bit mad in school too, but I done well enough. But I mean, like, some of the relationships I have with teachers that you never would have thought in a million years that you would have had, because you always thought like he's a dick or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think it's class, and I think it's amazing the way he does write me on Twitter. And
stuff. No, and they like obviously always tweet me before my fights and wish me luck, and we have a bit of crack going back and forward. So no, it's good to obviously stay in contact to a certain extent with them, and I'm not really as close with my friends that I grew up with in school, but they still support me and still message me back and forward, and when I see them it's always love. But I wouldn't be as close, but that's just life. You grow up, pals, and people move on to do different things.
And I think definitely, because even my friends in school and stuff, like, obviously it's the same support and stuff, but like, if I want to do something, not everyone else isn't. All my mates, like, especially in West Belfast, don't. Like, even with hurling and stuff, like, you would find a lot of the people in Northampton would be more hurling and stuff, you know, so you develop friendships with different people, and that's fair enough. Like, but it's nice to just keep in touch and not forget where you come from.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I first seen you boxing in correct me, is it the Doctors Club?
Yeah.
Right? And you were an amateur, and it was actually I think it's probably the first sort of boxing experience that I had, and I went down with a few of my mates, and you were fighting a boy, and I remember, like, you was hitting each other back and forward, but you were just like gung-ho, whack, and I was like, oh my god, like, imagine getting hit by him. Like, it was just pure, like, aggression, it was class, it was good to see, like, it was, I actually think you get beaten that fight, but whenever I seen you that night, I was just like, I think he's going to be a star. You just had something about you, and as what I said at the start there, you are different than everyone else, and to be the best, you do have to disassociate yourself with a lot of things. But that night down at the Doctors Club, you fought Stephen Donnelly, and there has been a lot of uproar and stuff like that. I don't want to get into it too much, but my side of it and the whole idea behind Let's Face It, and we talked about it down there about society and fitting in and stuff, and how people, what's the right word, how they carry themselves on social media. And you always get into a bit of a ding dong, and there always was a wee bit of rivalry, but he did make a racist comment on social media, and he said something about, which we'll get on to in a minute, about you getting stabbed and stuff, and it was low, it was wrong, and I'm not going to comment any more on it, and you don't need to comment on it, talk about if you're comfortable talking about it, of course. How did that all make you feel mentally, like getting that sort of abuse? Did it affect you mentally, or what way did it?
Yeah, obviously it's not nice to wake up and have racial comments slurred on Twitter, especially making comments about a time that was very hard in my life. I think that comment affected me more so than the racial comments. I'm a proud Black Irishman, and there'll be nobody could say anything to me that would put me down or make me feel down. But yeah, ultimately it's not nice to see them comments, especially from someone else in the boxing world. But yeah, like you said, me and Stephen had a lot of rivalry going up in the amateurs and whatnot. And I think boxing needs that.
Of course, yeah.
But obviously he has his own issues and personal issues, and I think that played a factor in him coming on Twitter and racially abusing me and whatnot. But I've got great support from my friends and family and just fans in general. And I remember when it had hit social media, I didn't retaliate. I put a statement out just actually asking people not to shed hate on him. But I think having that support from like fans and the people of Belfast in general was overwhelming. You know what I mean? It made me feel comfortable and who I am as a person, and regardless of skin colour and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's class. And I suppose I mentioned there at the start about me working on the saddle a couple of years ago as a classroom assistant, and you are seeing more and more like mixed race families coming into the West, and it's great to see. But do you think there should be like more education around that in schools about being more welcoming and inclusive, or do you think West Belfast is okay, or what is your opinion on the whole thing?
It's a tough one because, like I said, I never grew up with racism in West Belfast. Not you get the odd idiot that's gonna throw a remark and whatnot, but it's not like I was bullied or it was every day in school or just every day on the streets. It was once every while. But yeah, I think you can learn about the history of it and stuff like that, and obviously it's good to see more mixed race families being in West Belfast and whatnot. But I think for me anyway, the people of West Belfast always welcomed me, and it's never been an issue with colour, so maybe you do need to change it, maybe not.
Yeah, but no, I just think it's from the outside looking in, if nearly like you're representing and you're saying about wanting to be the first black Irish world champion, and you've said that from the outset. It's not like this is only a new thing since you become for as long as I've heard of you or known you, you've always had that sort of thing in your head. My big question is like how do you go about doing that? Like so obviously I mentioned there about you training or you're fighting as an amateur down at the Dockers, and then fast forward a couple of years you're going in to be a professional. What does your life look like on a daily? People mentioned like just off record there about like it's your job of course and you love doing it, but like on a daily basis for you to get to that level, because obviously there's going to only be one champion. What does your life look like at the minute? Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I signed a new deal with Eddie Hearn, and he's given me the opportunities to progress my career and be seen on the big stage. And in 3 fights with him, I've won 2 titles, which have now put me in the top 10 in the world. Obviously, I'm still very young. I'm only 25, and there is no rush. But they believe in me, and my team believe in me. And I think the next couple of fights, it just looks like we want to just keep progressing up the rankings and get to a position where we can fight for a world title, whether it's 2, 3, 4 years. That's the goal, the end goal. And yeah, it's hard. Listen, I take myself away from my friends and family and train for 10 to 12 weeks, and I got to make a lot of sacrifices. But I know what I need to do to get to that stage, and it's a dream of mine. And I understand that I can become the first Black Irish world champion and create history for Ireland. Do you know what I mean? And for me, it's like I take a lot of pride in being Irish, being black, and where my grassroots and where I come from. And but not only that, I understand that I can kind of set an example for other people from different backgrounds, and let them know that no matter what colour skin you have, what religion you are, where you're from, that you can still be successful and take pride in that and work as hard as you possibly can and give yourself that opportunity. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that come from a different country could move here and kind of feel like an outcast in a way, and they shouldn't have to. So I kind of want to set an example for people from different countries, and not even that, from people from different backgrounds, whether it's a rich family, a poor family, whatnot. Do you know what I mean? I'm somebody who grew up with nothing, and I've some sort of success in my career so far, so I want to set an example for the average person.
That it can be done.
Exactly, yeah.
And see, like you're saying, like I see myself become. Do you literally like? I'm quite fascinated about the differences between obviously hurling and football is amateur, but in its name, I suppose. Whereas like lads playing in the county and stuff, it's like we mentioned, there's like 6 nights a week. It's kind of gung ho. But there is like a bit of like sports psychology in it, and there's like visualization, and we would always sort of be trying to work on stuff like that. Do you, and like obviously you can fight now, there's no doubt like about your talent and your work ethic, but the other side of the mental side of it, do you do much like visualization or working with like sports scientists and stuff like that?
Yeah, I used to work with a mind coach and stuff. But for me, I've always believed in myself. Like no, and it's not like people sometimes say I come across cocky or whatnot, but
like me and Mick spoke about this, and we're like, there's a difference between having an ego. We all need egos. Like I need an ego to do well, even to do this. Like you can't sit in front of a camera if you don't. Do you know, it just doesn't. We all have egos, but and then confidence and cockiness, and we all have to be confident.
Yeah.
So
exactly, and I think people get that mixed up with being cocky and confident. I could be overly confident in myself, but it's just because I believe in myself, and I know how hard I work and what the effort that I put in the gym, day in day out, and rounds of sparring on the bags, pads. the work that nobody sees, going out running it late at night and whatnot. So I believe in myself. I understand it. I can be at the top of the sport because of the work I put in. So I think I always just personally just visualise myself. My dream is to become the first Black Irish world champion and headline a show in Caoimhín Park. That's literally been my dream since I was 14 years old, and I believe that I will do. I believe at the end of my career that I can sit back and say that I did become the first Black Irish world champion. I did headline and defend or win my first world title in Caoimhín Park, and be happy with my career. And listen, if I know like this, you've got Tommy McCarthy, you've got other fighters that are mixed racial black, and they're trying to achieve the same things, and if they do that before me, I'll be happy for them. I'll be supporting them. But for now, I feel like I'll be the first Black Irish world champion, and if not, I'll be just another one, and it's still history. But yeah, I think for me, boxing's 90% mental.
Right.
I think anything in life, you've got to believe in it. If you don't have any sort of belief, yes, you get doubts. Everyone gets doubts. You know what I mean? And that's maybe could set you back, but having a positive mindset and believing in yourself will get you very, very far. I mean, if you believe in the process and stay dedicated to it, then you will achieve what you want to achieve. And for me, that's, like I say, I believe in myself. I'm a confident person, confident fighter, and I think at the end of it all that I'll be able to say that I did what I did because of being the way I am.
Yeah, and that's actually my on my like cover photo. Let's face it, it's a positive mindset brings positive things, and that's like that's my mantra. Like definitely, positivity like breeds positivity. So if me and you're sitting here now and we're talking about good things, then good things are going to obviously happen. If we're going to, every time I meet you or meet Sean or whatever, and it's all like doom and gloom, because there is people like that, and what they do is just drag you right down, and then all of a sudden you're tired and you're lazy and you're like, right, so I'm going to surround myself, stick with the winners, and just be like, boom. And I suppose that's probably why you take yourself away for training camps, is it? And just being
I think like just being away, I can completely focus and don't get distracted. I'm not someone who would get distracted easily, but there is no distraction there. I do you know what I mean? I can focus and stay dedicated to what I do, and make them sacrifices. But I think I'm the same as well. Like I don't like bad energy around me. People constantly being negative, and I catch myself doing it. Like we're all guilty of it sometimes, being negative, and I catch myself on being like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. Have a different outlook to it. Yeah. Think differently, and I think when you do that, it's so much better for your mind.
Just be different. Like what
be different. Exactly. Yeah.
People laugh at you, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you. See, because you were different, and I suppose I was a wee bit different too. Did you get a wee bit of like people like making sly comments about you in school or anything, like being like, he's fucking that way, that fella thinks he's going to be a professional boxer, or was there anything like that?
I think it was more so like a lot of people questioned
your madness.
Questioned my madness, questioned how I actually believed in myself so much to the point that I'm at now. Like I get people coming up to me all the time and say, you said you were going to do this and I didn't believe in you back then. Yeah. And even people that is close to me right now, people that boxed in my gym in Holy Trinity and questioned what I was saying back then. And listen, you're gonna have doubters. I mean, it's probably not personal, but everyone doubts certain things and believe it can't be done until it is actually done. Do you know what I mean? And for me, that was my motivation. That was what strived me on to be where I am. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely love when someone say I can't do something. Yeah. Like, you tell me I can't run 10 miles in whatever time, I'm going to have to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm competitive and I like to prove people wrong. But yeah, a lot of people always say I'm different. I actually don't try to be different. I don't see myself as a different. I'm a regular person like everybody else. But
sorry, I don't mean like different. I mean like you're main.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I understand it in a way that to be successful, I had to do different things. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think like people always they say to me you're different, or the one I hate is you think you're famous or you think you're a celebrity, and it's just like you don't know me personally. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Know me personally and you'll have a completely different outlook on that. But I do like I've never wanted to be different, but I do see myself as different, and I think a lot of it plays in. I'm a Black Irish, came from England. My whole life's been different than everyone else, so I've had to live a different life, and that's just planned out to be who I am today. And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. And I suppose every guest that I've had on, we've all, I suppose including me, we've all been dealt our different cards.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you've been dealt with your deck of cards, and you've absolutely maximised everything out of it, you know, I suppose. Like, because someone moving from London to here, as you say, can be daunting. No, I don't want to go near that boxing club because it's very intimidating, or I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to meet new people because I'm different than them, whatever. And for you to actually say, do you know what, no, I'm my own person, I'm going to do this, I want to be a world champion, I just think it's class and fair play to you. You imagine Casement there, so you're going to get a run out in Casement before I get a run out.
Alright, hopefully. That's the plan. I mean, when I was 13, 14 years old, I remember going to Casement watching...
Probably us.
Yeah, exactly. Watching Eddie Hearn matches, and I was just looking around the stadium and just being like, I'd love to fight here one day. Do you know what I mean? It's in the heart of West Belfast, Andytown Road, where I grew up. Do you know what I mean?
Do you remember we all used to go there, and then everyone used to like dander down and they turn over to McDonald's and all after.
Exactly, and there's just crowds and crowds of people. Do you know what I mean? And I can picture myself coming out after winning a world title and just like greeting the fans, greeting people who support my whole career, and in my hometown. Do you know what I mean? That for me, that would be unbelievable. But yeah, I remember when I was a kid just wanting to do that, and I mean, I hope the plans for Casement go ahead.
I think they've been approved.
Yeah, they've been approved, so I hope they go ahead, and whether it's you or me, one of us, both of us will be playing in Casement or fighting in Casement.
And vice versa, I go to support you and you can come and support
definitely.
me. Unreal. So every other guest that I've had on here as well has sort of had their sort of traumatic experiences. Mine's when I was a child. We all go through different stages of our lives. We all encounter different things. Yours, probably the one that I know about anyway, was, and you can see it there on the side of your face, there's a scar about 6 or 7 inches long from the top of your temple to the bottom of your cheek. And I actually remember the news coming out and stuff because it was the whole talk of the place, like, and like Belfast is big but it's a very small place at the same time. You were outside McDonald's one night with your ex-girlfriend and you get stabbed. What, I know you've talked about it a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people do know about it, but a lot of my listeners would be maybe older and from GAA communities and stuff like that, and they don't know your story. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I'd literally just won a tournament out in Paris the week before. Come home and...
What age are you?
25.
No, sorry.
Oh, then 20. Yeah,
20.
2017, yeah, 20. So I just won a tournament in Paris and come home. I was in Thompson's with my girlfriend at the time. And yeah, we both weren't drinking. We'd left the club probably an hour and a half before it ended. And I was meant to fight the week after against America up in the Devonish, and we were in the queue for McDonald's. She wanted food, I wanted a bit of grub, and a group of about 30 lads had threw a McDonald's cup and it hit me and went all over her. So I've asked who it was, nobody said anything, and then someone I knew or recognised, I'd asked them and said, right, it was them, it was over there. I've looked over, it's a group of lads, and I've approached them, asked them why they've done it, and one thing led to another. Ended up in an argument. I remember going to take my watch and my jacket off and looking at the side of me, my ex at the time went to take her watch and her jacket off, and I was with her literally a week that day, and I was like, fuck me, I can't put her through this. It's gonna think I'm mental. So I was like, you idiots, and walked away. And then it just escalated. They had followed me, showed racial abuse of me, and I ended up fighting with them, and I can't really remember much. I just remember I was on the ground fighting with one of them. My ex has pulled me off them, and be like, right, that's enough. And as she's pulled me around, she's seen that I've been stabbed, but obviously I've not felt a thing. I've not felt a thing, but she like I just seen her whole face drop, and her being like, Keane, your face is in a really bad way. And obviously being a fighter, and I've grew up fighting in the streets, not just as a kid, do you know what I mean? Fighting in the streets and used to getting punched in the face. I mean, so I thought maybe it was just a bruise or I've got a slight cut or something. And then I tried to run off and grab them because one of them's running. And she's grabbed me, give me a hug, and whispered me in my ear, like, keeping your face in a really bad way. So like I've kind of pushed her off me. I went to be like leave me alone, and I've looked down and seen blood all over her. So I was like, what the fuck's happened to you? And she's like, that's not my blood. I've looked down, I was covered in blood. I'm like, right, I'm alright. I don't feel a thing, I'm not in any pain, do you know what I mean? So I don't know how bad it is. I'm like, I'm alright. and I went to run off again, and then next thing the cops had just pulled me. They've obviously asked me what happened and whatnot, and I was just, me being me, I was like, can you just let me go home, I'll stick a plaster on it. Like, and I remember the cop laughing at me, being like, it's more than a plaster you're gonna need. I don't think I really knew the kind of the extent of the injury until I got into the hospital. Like, going back in the ambulance, I felt embarrassed. Do you know, I felt violated. In an ambulance of a girl I've only been with a week, and
a bit of pride.
Yeah, a bit of pride, ego and stuff, and get to the hospital, and like they rushed me through into A&E. I remember them saying, I knew how bad it was actually whenever I was in the ambulance, because they had said to me, do you mind if we bypass 2 hospitals and bring you straight to Ulster?
They specialise in that?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, of course. And then once I'm in the, like, my little room, the A&E room, I have like 10 doctors around me, cut my clothes off, putting strips in my arms, needles in my arms, and then I've got a doctor saying, we need to close this right now. You're losing too much blood, and like them ringing for a blood transfusion and whatnot. So I think that's whenever I actually realised this is bad. I remember them trying to stitch it with like no any anaesthetic or whatnot, and like the blood just shooting up and hitting the ceiling, and I'm going, fuck, what have I got myself into here? My career's over. But yeah, it was one of them things. Thankfully I'm still here. I was an inch from death and from bleeding out in 12 seconds, so I count my blessings, and I'm lucky to still be here. But yeah, that was obviously a very hard time in my life. Very mentally challenging for me. And
that's the thing that I was going to get on. Like, that is trauma. Like, that is the definition of like a traumatic experience. And in my experience with trauma and stuff like that, and someone told me this before, there's one thing actually talking about your problems. So you've talked about it a lot, but actually doing something about it is a completely different kettle of fish. And I did start to talk about mine and stuff, but actually going, right, do you know what, Donald? Like, looking at myself in the mirror, that person looking back, building that relationship, trying to get confidence, trying to actually deal with the stuff instead of just like spouting it out there. How mentally challenging actually was it, and did you have to like get help, or did you go seek help? Or
yeah, no, it was, for me it was very mentally challenging. I genuinely hit rock bottom. I went through some dark times. But yeah, ultimately I went and got help. I needed to. I think it was about a year and a half in, after getting stabbed. I started speaking to my ex-girlfriend about it. Like, she could see it was affecting me mentally, and was like, you need to speak to somebody, you need to speak to me, you speak to anybody. And then once I started speaking to her, I was like, I need to get some sort of professional help. Went and got some help, and it I think for me that was the turning point, and to better in my life and better in that situation, and getting mentally like back on the road to what I wanted to achieve. Because at that time I'd just been stabbed, nearly lost my life, and it was like, what's going to happen with boxing? Do I mean, am I still going to be able to fight?
Was there question marks over your boxing career?
No, it did say that I would still be able to fight, and that this would never open in the ring, thankfully. But it was like I had to go get, like, I think it was 6-7 months after or whatnot. It was keloid scarring, so I had to go and get a steroid injection, or it was to get another operation. So there was a lot of setbacks for me, and that was very mentally challenging. And other than that, there was the trauma part of where not sleeping, having nightmares, like my pride was shattered. Do you know what I mean? Someone who's grew up fighting his whole life, and I felt, like I said, I felt violated. Do you know what I mean? So it was very hard for me to obviously gain that confidence and stuff back. And then another side of it, I had people like you said, it hit the media so much in Belfast. Like, there was people from all over the world messaging me. I remember my phone actually got stolen that night, but I got it back, and I remember like opening my phone, like thousands of messages. But because it had hit the media about it so hard, everybody knew about it. I couldn't go anywhere without someone asking me about it. I was telling the same story over and over again. People just staring at me because I have a scar on my face. So it was like, it got to the point where I didn't want to go out, didn't want to go out on nights out with my friends, go out for food. Do you know what I mean? I kind of isolated myself, and that was very mentally challenging for me, because I'm someone who likes to get out and do things, and and yeah, just be out and about, and I'm friendly with everyone, talking to people, but it was like, oh, I couldn't be annoyed going, if I go out I'm going to get questioned, do you know what I mean? And it was very mentally challenging, and I think whenever I did go get or seek help, but I needed to. I didn't think, as a man, as you know yourself, like, I don't need help. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to tell people my problem. I need to speak to them. Yeah, it's weak. Do you know what I mean? And for me, it really, really did help. Do you know what I mean? I needed that because I had suicidal thoughts. I was in a dark place. I didn't know what was happening with my career, and thankfully, I seen the other side of it, where if I tried this could help me, and it did. Do you know what I mean?
See, like, well, that's just one more question about that side of it, and then we'll move on. But with trauma automatically sort of relates to traits of behaviour, right? So for me, like, my traits of behaviour from what happened to me, like confidence and being able to trust people and stuff like that, did any of your traits of behaviour change from before you get stabbed to the stabbing to then after, in terms of like going to nightclubs, or as you say, going out for food and stuff with friends? You didn't want people to obviously talk about it, but I mean, mentally, were you ever thinking like, fuck, if someone could stab me here if I go in here? Was there ever any of that? Like, you were not afraid, but a wee bit jittery or a wee bit on edge? Or
I remember the first time I went into town after it, and I had to walk past McDonald's to meet one of my friends for a coffee, and I remember freaking out. Like, I'm not somebody who would normally do that, and it's like, I don't know, just not that person, but I remember freaking out, like kind of freezing, and getting very emotional, and I'm not really an emotional person, and getting very emotional, and I literally had to go down an alleyway, ring my sister, and I was like crying on the phone, like trying to calm me down. Like, it's just, obviously it brought back memories and whatnot, but I feel like even to this day, like, I've always been someone who looked over my shoulder, but even more so now, like, I've always got to be like, if I go into a restaurant or somewhere, I've got to sit in a spot where I can see everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Seriously.
Or I'm just constantly like looking over my shoulder. You see me on an.
Do you think that's from?
Yeah, definitely from getting started. I'm just always on, like, cautious. I'm always on edge. Not on edge in terms where I'm not enjoying myself, but I'm just very aware of what's going on around me. I'm always observing like what's happening in certain movements, and I try to stop it, because I feel like that's something, like, I'm letting something that happened to me affect me as a person. It's not necessarily negative, but it's affecting my movements, affecting the way I think or whatnot. But I think that's just me now, and maybe it'll go away one day, maybe it won't. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that has kind of changed for me.
Yeah, and I think from all this whole episode of what's happening, the big message that I got from that anyway was, when you went and got help and didn't have to say to yourself that, oh, I'm too strong, or my ego's playing in the way, when you actually said, you know what, I'm going to hand this over to someone else, I'm going to go seek professional help, and you've done it, and you sort of came out the other side and became a better person for it. That's powerful, because there is, even people in my friend group are in that place where we were before, about being too proud to ask for help and stuff, and they do need help, and that is a class message to give out to people, because like, and someone said this to me before too, don't know, were you ever embarrassed, like, coming out of a pub at 2 or 3 in the morning, or going getting coke off people, or, you know, off your head or whatever? So why should you be embarrassed going and asking for help?
Exactly.
And the more you, and the platform that you have with so many thousand people, and the more, that's the whole idea behind Let's Face It, to stand up and say, do you know what, young men like us, we're the same age, we actually went and got help, and look where we are now. We're actually doing something we enjoy doing, we're trying to give back, you're going to achieve your dreams, I'm going to achieve mine, all through going and asking people for help.
Yeah, and I think, like, going and getting professional help, some people, sometimes if you're going private, or people like, I don't want to wait in the NHS and stuff like that, but it's worthwhile. And not only that, after that certain things happened in my life where I didn't necessarily think I needed personal help, but I spoke with my friends and family about it. Like, there was certain times that I went through a very, very hard time, and I remember speaking to certain friends. It was one of my training camps during lockdown, and I actually thank him and my cousin. There were 2 people that I spoke to every day about my problem, because it was very, very mentally challenging. I was trying to focus on a training camp, trying to focus on fighting, and that was affecting me in the gym, and it was affecting me on a day-to-day basis. And I spoke to them about it, told them my problems, getting advice off them, and it helped me. They helped me get through that situation. So, and I realised that by going and getting professional help, knowing that whenever I'm having a tough time, that going and speaking to someone actually helps. So, I can say from yourself, from first hand, that opening up and speaking to people will change your life 1,000,000%.
Class. And I suppose what you're saying there is like, you go to this person, they give you a toolbox, you come back, you have all your tools in your toolbox, so if something is through at you, you go, here, do you know what, I can go in here, grab this, whatever it is, and so yours is, right, I've actually learned how to speak, exactly. So you don't need to always get professional help. Like, you've loads of friends out there, everyone has loads of people, networks, family, sports clubs, youth groups, whatever. There is people always there that will listen to you, and I think that's unreal, so fair play. So moving on now, you mentioned Eddie Hearn there a couple of times, and I suppose Eddie Hearn is just a man that I see on Sky Sports. He's just, everyone in the world knows who Eddie Hearn is, but you're a young lad who grew up in Turf Lodge, worked in a busy bee when he was 12, and now you're signed with, is he Matchroom?
Yeah,
he's Matchroom boxing with Eddie Hearn. Like, how good does that make you feel, and what is your relationship like with him?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It makes me, when I look back and I kind of, I'm kind of living in the moment, so it's hard to actually look back and be like, "Raw, I've come this far." Do you know what I mean? So
pinch yourself.
Exactly. Whenever I actually have some downtime and I'm thinking about my career and certain things that's happened to me in life and whatnot, I actually become proud of myself, because I look back and say, look how far I've came. Like, these are people, I'm working with people that I would be starstruck to see. I would, do you know what I mean? I kind of watched them on TV growing up and been like I would love to meet them and whatnot, but I'm in a stage in my career where I'm actually working with them, do you know what I mean? And it's unreal. It makes me feel very proud of myself that my hard work's paying off, and staying dedicated was worth it. And obviously I've still got a very long way to go. And but yeah, my relationship with Eddie, I've got a good relationship with him. He's a really nice guy. He believes in me. He's always promoting me and bigging me up, and he's given me the opportunities that I feel like I deserve and feel like I need to get to the top level. And yeah, it's great to be a part of his team, Matchroom, and hopefully I keep on winning and repaying them ultimately. But yeah, like I say, he believes in me, and that's incredible for me, an incredible feeling for me, because to me, someone like Eddie Hearn, for me, he's the best promoter in boxing, believes that I'm going to be a world champion, has talked about not only being a mega star in Belfast and Ireland, but being a global star. And to hear them words from him and call me like the Irish Canelo, and to hear that kind of praisal from him is unreal.
Hopefully starts repaying you in paychecks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, like, obviously, whenever you see you with someone like that, like, from the outside looking into boxing, I suppose as a whole there is loads of professional fighters in West Belfast. Like, I think West Belfast is just like mad in it for fighters.
Yeah.
But there is that one or two where you can sort of see, like, and then when you see you with someone like him, I'm just like, right, he's obviously not. It's not obvious because you can't take anything for granted, but you're on your way to, because you have the right people around you. And you mentioned there about him believing in you and the importance of it. How much of a role does that actually? I know, what do you call your manager, Paul Riley, and I know you have a tight enough knit relationship, don't you?
Yeah.
And he obviously believes in you too. So how much does that impact you? But I suppose the question is, does the likes of Paul Riley and Eddie Hearn and your coaches say, right, Keegan, you're getting a wee bit ahead of yourself, or can they ground you a wee bit, or is there ever any stages like that? Or
I think more so with Paul. Paul, like, me and Paul talk every single day, and he believes in me, and obviously he manages my career, so he can see certain things. He knows when I'm down. He knows whenever, right, you need to reel it back and start getting back in the train or whatnot. He'll give me the best advice that he possibly can. So I think more so him. But like, yeah, like someone like Paul, I'm so thankful for. He's literally come into my life, into my career, just I think a year in September, and since he came in, it's been crazy. Like, it's changed so much in terms of boxing. He's done so much for me, so I'm thankful for him. But yeah, it's just crazy being around these kind of people.
Mad, isn't it?
It's mad, like, and do you know what I think? I look at it in the moment, being like, this is crazy, and I'm the one that's kind of saying with them, I'm fighting and whatnot, and I think I used to be at a certain stage in my career where I look at fighters or I look at people and be like, oh, that's insane, that's crazy, like I want that, or I want to be in that position in life, and you kind of have doubts, like, yes, I believe in myself, but you have doubts, like, well, who am I kidding? Like, I'm a regular kid. I'm an average kid from Belfast. You know what I mean? Like, who am I kidding? I'm never gonna get that stage. But genuinely, with hard work and believing in yourself, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Do you know what I mean? No matter where you come from or what's going on in your life, if you want something hard enough, you'll get it.
Yeah, if you see it, believe it, just go for
exactly.
it. And I definitely believe in that too. Like, if you really want something bad enough, if you want to get off the drink, if you want to get off drugs, if you want to be the first Irish backward champion, if you want that more than anything in the world, you can do it.
Exactly.
Because our minds are powerful things.
100%, I think, and that's why I always say to people, no matter what your job is, whatever you're going through in life, or if you look at it from a positive outlet and you actually believe in it and you want it, the want has to be the most thing. You need a want to do it for yourself, then you can do it. Do you know what I mean? And
you're actually in a wee bit of transition. Are you allowed to talk about this at the minute with coaches and stuff? Or oh yes. Yeah. So you just fought there 2 weeks ago. I watched it. You were good. But there was a wee bit on Twitter about Tony Bally's. Was that fight? No,
that was fight before.
But the last one went the full
distance.
And there was you weren't happy with your own performance. You come out and say, isn't that right? But there's a bit of transition in your camp at the minute.
Yeah. Tell
me a bit more about that.
Yeah. So I haven't actually decided where I'm going just yet, but I've made the decision that I'm going to be leaving London. I'm going to be leaving London and moving trainers. It's just something I felt that I needed to do to progress my career, and I wasn't happy in London. It was affecting me mentally, and I wasn't happy being in the gym, and training was becoming like a chore to me. So I just felt I gave myself a time frame. I'd said if I still felt like this in 6 to 12 months, then I would make the change.
So it's not just instinct.
Yeah,
that's class.
So I thought I was maybe at the start. I thought I was maybe just going through training camp was getting hard. I had personal issues. I was missing home, and I thought maybe that was why I wasn't enjoying boxing. And then it was other reasons. Maybe I wasn't enjoying boxing because of being with the promoter that I used to be with and the manager I used to be with. But then I got to this stage where I'm at now, and it was like, I'm just not happy in London, and I could finally put my finger on it, and so I've made the decision that I'm going to be moving. I'm not entirely sure. Haven't made the decision who I'm going to be training with next, or whether it's going to be in. Well, it won't be London. I don't think I'll go. Like, there's a lot of great coaches in London and stuff, but I don't think I'll go back to London because that's the reason why I left. Could be back home, could be down south, could be somewhere else, but. So that's going to be a new chapter for me, something that I'm excited about. I feel like I'm someone who loves boxing, loves to improve, loves to learn, and with moving to a different gym under a different coach, I'm going to learn different things, you know what I mean, and change as a person, change as a fighter, and I'm looking forward to this next step and the journey with a new trainer.
Class. And would Paul and stuff have a say in this?
Yeah, so ultimately it's me who picks who I want to train with, but obviously he'd advise me and we'll sit down and see. That's why we're still going through certain options at the moment to see who's going to fit my style best and where I'm going to be happier or happiest at, and we'll sit down and kind of put 3 or 4 names together in terms of coaches, and obviously they have to want to work with me. I was going to say this.
I think you're in good enough hands where you can. I don't think if you go to the gym they would say, no, actually, I'm not interested in you. Like, you're a young prospect. I genuinely believe, even just sitting talking to you, that even I can see it now. Like, you being the first black Irish world champion, I can literally see it. So I don't even know how you feel. Do you know what? I'm actually excited for you. So I don't know how you feel. So I just think it's unreal, and for a play. And you are, like, we're both the same age, and you have a good head on your shoulders. Like, making them decisions that, right, what is the best thing for Keegan, not what's the best thing for A, B or C.
Exactly, and I feel like you only get one career, especially in anything, like especially in boxing, it's a very short career, and ultimately if I'm not happy, what am I doing it for? I'm wasting my time, and like I say, you only get one career, so you got to make them choices. You got to make the best decision for you. And listen, it might not work out somewhere else, and I might have to go somewhere else. But that's just boxing. That's life. Do you know what I mean? You leave one job, you walk into another one. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm glad that I've made that decision. I can feel like there's some sort of weight been lifted off my shoulders, and I can be happier with going elsewhere and kind of looking forward to certain fights and progressing under a new coach.
Class. I suppose, right, so you're 10-0?
Yep. No, 12-0, sorry.
12-0?
I was saying yes if I am.
You're 12-0, sorry. When do you think you'll be in the ring next?
So we don't have a confirmed date because we're obviously going through a process of trying to pick a new coach, and you have to, it takes time for you to gel with a new coach, but we hope to be at end of September, start of October. It might be a bit of a push, but if we can find a coach that I gel with quick enough, then I'm someone who trains all the time. I keep myself in good shape, so I'll be fit enough training back home. But yeah, I'd want to be out probably start of October, get one more before the end of the year, and then look on to a big 2023. 2023,
and you've said it a couple of times throughout the last half an hour, whatever it is, about you set like times on things. So like you said about your gym, like I'll set the times in this, if I'm not happy after this certain amount of time, I'll do something different. You've done it in your amateur career too, about the Commonwealth Games and stuff around 2017-18. You were always setting a time frame to turn professional. Is there a time frame for the next sort of, you've got a belt now, is there a time frame for, I'm not going to say obviously the world Irish, first black Irishman to win a world championship, I'm not going to say when you're going to do that, but is there like a time frame to get into that sort of top 5 or?
Yeah, I think there is no short-term goal for me right now. I have to kind of sit down and see what's next. I'd love to win a European title within the next 12 months,
right.
Which I think I'm ranked high enough now to kind of get myself in contention for fighting one. But I actually do have a time frame on when I want to become the first black Irish world champion. I
just didn't want to think of assassin Conor McGregor, considering me like, I didn't want to put you in the spot, but go ahead. Before
I even turned pro, I have a £50 bet on with my brothers, someone who works for my brother, that I'd be world champ. I think it was only 16, 17 at the time. I said I'll be world champion before I'm 28 and 25 right now. I'm top 10 in the world, so I'm not too far off. Got 3 years to achieve that goal. But short term, I think defend the WBA international that I have a couple of times, which will lead me to move up the rankings a bit more, and pick up a European title. Early next year, I'll be headlining shows in Belfast. About that. That's the kind of next 12 months. Belfast has to happen, and that's something that me and my manager are pushing Eddie for. And he believes in that as well. He wants to do that. Croke Park was so close to happening with Katie Taylor fighting Amanda Serrano in a rematch, but unfortunately
you were the one before that. What do you call it? Co-main event? Were you?
That was Mick Collins on the card.
Right.
But my first fight with Matchroom, I fought on her on Katie's card. But yeah, that fight was talked about being in September, October, and that would have been amazing. 83,000 people, Croke Park, Katie Taylor fighting first time back home. That would have been surreal. So I think for me, it's the whether it would be Croke or the Free Arena in Dublin. My main priority is obviously Belfast, but the fight back home in Ireland would be unbelievable.
Class, and you do have the following. You can see it. Like more and more people. Obviously, Mick has the following and stuff like that there, and you can see more and more people like jump. I'm not saying jumping on your bandwagon. It's not like that. It's just like people genuinely, and I genuinely want to see you do well because I believe you have.
Like I say, I've always had support from Belfast, even when I was an amateur, just a young kid. And for me, it's like the support that I get from friends, family, fans, supporters in general from Belfast is surreal. It makes me proud to come from here, do you know what I mean? And like I say, I want to repay the fans as much as I want to do it for myself. I want to repay the fans for the travelling fans that come and watch me in London, Nottingham, Liverpool, wherever it may be. Do you know what I mean? They're spending their hard-earned money to come and support my career in a vision that they believe as well. And it's unbelievable. I walk down the street and I get kids or people coming up to me talking to me about boxing, and it makes me realise
that's special.
Exactly, it makes me believe realise I've come a long way, and like just to see kids, do you know what I mean, come out ask me for a photo or being like, oh, I look up to you, I get messages all the time, I look up to you, you inspire me or whatnot. It's a real feeling for me, and I want to repay the fans of Belfast and come back home and headline shows and give them memorable nights that we can talk about in 20-30 years time.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'm really looking forward to it. And you did, and mentioned kids there, and kids are a massive reason why I do what I do, and I love seeing the reaction. I suppose the innocence of them whenever you look up at them and they're like looking at you as if you're some sort of Power Ranger or something. Like it's, you know, and that's class, and you are a role model to a lot of people. But, and I said this to Sambo last week, Sambo had a speech impediment when he was a child, and he always get bullied. He didn't necessarily get bullied, but teachers like picked on him and stuff and made him sit in the back of the classroom, and it was genuinely really heartbreaking. And I asked him, did he have any advice for young people sort of growing up? And I want to ask you the same thing, because like coming from London, and you said about fitting in and stuff like that there, and you did, and you didn't think about what people really thought and stuff like that. You just went for it, and you're still going for it. Not everyone can do that or has the ability to do that. Is there any advice that you would have for any kids growing up in, I'm not just talking about mixed race here, I'm talking about just people who are struggling for a wee bit of self-belief. Do you have anything to say?
I think for me it's always been just believe in yourself, try new things, open your mind, do you know what I mean, and explore different things. And that's something that I've learned kind of as I've got older, that I probably should have had when I was younger, or wish I had when I was younger, is a mindset where I had an outlook on everything and wasn't just focused on one thing, not just boxing in general, but I kind of see life now as where I should try new things, explore. You know, you never know what talent you can have, do you know what I mean, or what you can achieve. So ultimately, believe in yourself and always chase your dreams, work as hard as you possibly can, and the results will show. Class.
Here, it was a pleasure having you on. Really, I could talk to you all day and stuff, and I think your hunger is unbelievable, and your drive to do well and your drive to succeed. And I honestly, not just me, sorry, everyone who is watching and all supporters, from the bottom of my heart, I really hope you go on and do it. And
appreciate that, thank you very much.
We'll be all there to support you, and I'm definitely on your bandwagon there. So here, thanks very much, mate.
Thanks for having me on, it's been a pleasure.
Class, and yeah, well, I'll have to fucking see who plays in this new case first.
I'll have you walking me out with my belt.
Like McGregor. I am boxing.
You can play during the day and I'll fight at night.
Get the lights on. No, but classmate, thanks very much. And again, a massive thanks to Workforce Training Services for sponsoring this podcast. Obviously, like, this wouldn't be possible to do without sponsors and stuff like that. There even got a fancy new camera and stuff this week, so no, it's really appreciated, and it means a lot to me, and it's great to have great guests on like Caoimhín and stuff. So keep your eyes peeled for more special guests in the next coming weeks, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.